Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be part 2 of a video that I just made a few hours ago on emotionally unavailable people. Why is it that we draw them in? What can we do when we have that experience? And in this video, we're going to talk about real life examples of people that were the runner and how that was experienced by the chaser. So I did mention that predominantly the person that carries the most feminine energy, so both men and women are made out of masculine and feminine energy, and we're basically trying to balance that out as we are going through the age of Aquarius. This is one of the biggest challenges that we're going to have in this particular era. And I know we can feel so like hurtful and heavy and uncomfortable and painful at times, but it can be so much fun. Like through all those tears and through all that ache, if you can find the beauty in healing both your masculine and your feminine energy within yourself first, and then allowing that to pass on to the people around you. So perhaps maybe you'll be a catalyst for their healing, and then together we can all heal in this world. How wonderful would that be? So we can all be in loving, conscious relationships where expression of emotions, needs, requests, they're all going to be received through different lenses of perception. They're going to be received by people who are in really good relationship with their emotions. They have an expanded window of tolerance. Therefore, they're able to not only carry their emotions, but the emotions of others. They have an understanding of their triggers. They are assertive in their language, meaning they're not aggressive or passive aggressive or just plain passive. We don't point fingers. We just are different in relationships in a more conscious way, so we can fulfill each other in a way that feels more peaceful. So these are going to be real life stories of people that are predominantly in their masculine energy. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a man. But in my specific case, these are actual people that I have worked with in my life, and the experience of the masculine and how the feminine experienced the masculine not being emotionally available, and how we can't take that personally, because at the end of the day, once you hear what the masculine's perspective is, it has nothing to do with the feminine. The runner has nothing to do with the actual chaser. It's not because she's not pretty enough or rich enough or whatever enough. It's all about that masculine energy and where they are within themselves. So case scenario number 1, if a masculine is in an energy of not recognizing your self-worth, and how will that come through? So he will talk down to you, because that's also a reflection of how he speaks to himself. A man that puts you down, you can only imagine what happens within their own self. The putting down, like that dialogue that they have within themselves, you can only imagine what that's like. And the only reason why you're attracting someone who is going to be talking to you in that way in the first place is because your self-esteem is not where it should be to attract something different, right? We're both recapitulating our childhood. So a masculine, this is a real life example, a masculine that there wasn't necessarily abuse in the household, but in this particular case, there was just never any expression of bravo, you're amazing, I'm so proud of you. There was just always criticism and fear. So when a person does not have the capacity to cultivate that neurological pathway that fires the signal, I am good enough, I am capable, I am worthy, because all you're receiving is criticism. So you can only imagine the type of pathways that you are creating, right? Those synapses fire signals automatically through our subconscious autonomic nervous system all day, every day. And those signals, those neurotransmitters, those little molecules that are found in the in the neurotransmitters, those carry energy, and that energy is not going to be positive and create thought and feeling and emotions that I am unworthy, I'm not good enough. So then when they can't recognize their own worth, how are they supposed to recognize their partner's worth? It's just not possible. So the easiest way to make sure that they still feel enough is to put the other person down. It's like temporary relief of that wound, because if somebody else is also not good enough, or if it's like competition and you're trying to prove that like I'm better than you, that it's a quick band-aid fix to the lack of that experience from within the masculine from when they were a child to really know their worth. That's example number one. If you're receiving talk from a masculine, so again, masculine energy could be girl or guy, right? Predominantly in their masculine energy. So if you're receiving words that are not nice or kind, again, that's a very big reflection of what is also going on in their head. So when there's no way someone with a secure self-esteem or a good sense of self, a positive self-view, would ever call anyone else names. It's just not necessary. It wouldn't be part of their vibration, because they would speak to themselves differently. And the person that's also attracting that self-talk, that language from the masculine, is also having that self-talk in their mind. So in that way, they're completely mirroring each other. So the best thing that you can do in those moments is to actually watch and see what your self-talk is and change that. Because I know from my own experience, when I changed my self-talk, when I understood why I was attracting that experience from the masculine, and I changed my self-talk with affirmations, with self-love, I did 3 21-day programs where I literally looked at myself and I said, I love you, that I am enough. I did gratitude for myself. I would say at least 5 things that I'm grateful for myself every day in the morning and every day at night, so I can change how I predominantly felt about myself. So instead of going into negative self-talk, I was always into positive self-talk through my affirmations, through my mirror work, through my, what's the last thing I said? Yes, gratitude. Yeah, so through all of those things, I was able to change my self-talk, and of course, that changed the reflection of the way that the masculine spoke to me. Scenario number 2. This is breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing at its finest. This is also when people feel ghosted, when their messages are read but not responded to. What really happens there? So real life experience. Man and woman are together in a relationship. Woman, of course, is anxious, attached. She's a chaser. Man is, as we figure out, is in his wounded, masculine, avoidant attachment style, where they work a little bit different than the anxious attached person, because the anxious attached person has a negative self-view, so they attach to their romantic partner in order to feel validated of who they are, to soothe that inability to think and feel positive about themselves. But the avoidant will find that overwhelming, because they didn't have a chance to cultivate their own emotions as a child. So they avoid anything in that department because that feels too much. Maybe perhaps if they were told, you're a man never cries, or a man, you gotta be tough, or you gotta be this, or you gotta be that. Like I often hear that too within the dynamic, especially in the Greek households, like, oh, you're a man, you can't cry. And now I know better to cultivate that skill within my son, to be able for him to be in touch with his emotions. And it's okay if he cries. Of course, it's okay if he cries. I don't want him to stay in the crying phase. I want him to transmute it, but I want him to understand why he's feeling that way, so he doesn't suppress it, so then he doesn't become avoidant when he is a grown man. So then not only is he not going to be able to handle his own emotions, because emotions are going to come in, you guys, like, they're bound to come in. It's thoughts, emotions, behavior. We have 40,000 to 6,000 thoughts a day, something ridiculous. Like, of course, we're going to have a variety of emotions that come in all the time. So they're going to be present. We are going to have triggers. That's going to happen. So then when that masculine energy is in its avoidant because it hasn't had a chance to expand its own window of tolerance with its own emotions, how is it supposed to hold yours? Therefore, it will shy away from anything that feels too much. So then, of course, they're going to project back to you and be like, oh, you're too needy. I can't keep up with you. And you're this and you're that. But in reality, that's not what's happening. But that perpetuates a really challenging cycle, because then the anxious person will want to attach even more because they're not understanding why there is silence, because then they'll go into assumptions about that silence. So they must not like me, or they must think this, or they must think that, or what are they thinking? And then they're checking their phone all the time. And then it becomes not a very pleasant dance to be in. So real life case scenario, when we spoke to the masculine energy and he told us how he actually felt, and he couldn't hold the feminine, and he ended up telling her that she's always too much, was because he was struggling so much within his own self, with his own self-esteem. And then because his finances were not where he was hoping them to be, and he was so hard on himself, because I understand that this is a really big challenge for the masculine. Like, as a provider, it's one of their biggest things that they will have to overcome in this life, is to be able to be like a financial provider for themselves and their future family that they may or may not want to have. Like, it all just depends. And then because of that lack of financial stability, they would fall into a depression, and then that would make them not want to speak to anyone, completely withdraw from everybody. So again, it had nothing to do with the girl, but of course the girl would experience it as if she's not good enough. But the beautiful thing in this dynamic is the girl now has a chance to heal her anxious attachment style. And that's so beautiful when you think about it that way. And the man has a chance to heal his own self-worth issues, his sense of self. He also has a chance. But then that's when Brian Weiss comes in, and he talks about soulmates in his book. If one person is not ready to do their work, it will be detrimental to the other person who is ready to do their work, because they're not going to be compatible. So that is not going to work. I hope that I explained this in a way that is tangible and understandable. And I'm sorry about the background noise. That's my son and his friend playing video games. Yes, so I lost my train of thought there for a second. Yeah, always make sure that you receive I don't want to say inability. If a masculine is not able to provide you with your needs, it's not necessarily meaning that you're not enough for that person. You're both learning and growing from that experience. And I promise you, I know this for a fact, once you start to do your work, you will also notice, if you're the anxious one, you will also notice that having gone from a space where you're receiving things like, you're so needy, I can keep up with you, what else have I heard from, or like obsessive, like, or drama queens, or yeah, drama, that comes up a lot. Like a lot of men think of women as, or sorry, I should say, like the masculine energy thinks of the feminine as she is drama, as she comes to him with her emotions and her needs and her wants and desires, because they're not capable to even hold their own, right? If they're not centered and grounded and focused and in their king masculine energy, how are they supposed to hold you in your queen feminine energy? But by looking at each other's wounds, you can help each other get to that place where your crown is like super straight on your head. And yes, it falls, or like it wavers a bit back and forth, but it doesn't completely fall off and is like left on the ground. And then you're waiting for somebody else to pick it up for you. That's how you do conscious relationships. That's how you learn from people that are not emotionally available for you. It's all a learning curve. It's all a lesson. Please don't take it personally, because as you can see, that's never going to help anyone grow. That will just make you more miserable within yourself and create more negative experiences for you. So if you liked anything about this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love for you to do so. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, I would love to hear them. If you have any ideas for me for our next video, I would love to also hear those. Hit that little bell if you would like to not miss another video. And as always, all my love and gratitude. I am so grateful. And yeah, I will see you next time.